Hello everyone, another week, another video. Thanks for joining me today. So I actually achieved a one-arm pull-up. I got it a year ago, give or take some change, on both arms actually, but then I tore something. I don't even know, I never actually got it checked out, but I felt a pop, felt pain, and I couldn't do a pull-up, even a normal pull-up, for probably 2 months, I think. On the right side, I felt something give. In circus, I was doing a duo cradle, which is a type of act where you use a lot of pulling motions. So I didn't hurt it doing pull-ups. It was a circus thing that hurt it. Anyway, I lost my one-arm pull-up on both sides after that because I stopped training adequately either side because this injury was freaking me out and I didn't keep up just on the left pulling. But today, well, depending on when you watch this video, I got my left one-arm pull-up back. I have video, which I will show you guys probably at the beginning of this video or the end, I don't know, or maybe right now. So I got it back. It's not super clean. I need to work on it more. I want to be able to do it just super slow and controlled, but I was able to do it, feet off the floor, hanging, and all the way up and all the way down on the left side. The right side, I think I could have done it, but I was afraid mentally of the injury and my brain held me back, so I didn't give as much force. So I want to get a little stronger. But this video is about what you can do to train towards a one-arm pull-up if that is a goal of yours. If you're working still on the standard pull-up, which is also an awesome goal, I have another video all ready for that. I would say click the link right here, but I don't know how to edit that. So just go to my page and type in, the perfect pull-up, I think is what my video is called on pull-ups. So as I mentioned before in other videos and fit tips, the principle of progressive overload is basically to get stronger at a specific movement pattern, you need to progressively overload, or in other words, progressively challenge yourself to make your body adapt towards the new stimulus. So if I, for instance, can already do 10 pull-ups, which I can, to get to 11 pull-ups, I need to do something a little beyond 10, which that can mean, 10 and a half, that can mean 10 and then take a break and then do another set of 10. That can mean, working out my pull-ups more frequently throughout the week. So there are multiple variables that you can use to make any workout progressively overloaded. So a one-arm pull-up is similar, and it really clicked in my brain after I read somewhere, I think it was a physical therapist was posting it on Instagram, and they were saying something along the lines of too many people think it's a form issue that's stopping them from a one-arm pull-up, but it's a strength issue. You're not strong enough. And that was a hard pill to swallow because I like to think I'm strong, and I am in a lot of movements already, but a one-arm pull-up, I didn't really put enough value on how difficult of a movement it actually is, and I thought I could do it if I just figured out the proper technique or the proper muscle to engage. And it was more, I just need to get stronger with the muscles I have. So the principle of progressive overload came into play. So what I did, I'm not going to splice a bunch of videos because I'm not cool like that, but I did a lot of weighted pull-ups. So depending on what gym I go to, because I have a couple of different gyms that I'm a member at, I would take a dumbbell and I'd hold it between my ankles and I would grab a pull-up bar and do pull-ups. So I overloaded the pull-ups to make it more challenging by adding weights. And the rep range I aimed for was between, depending on if I wasn't doing 1 rep maxes so much, I was doing more 3 to 5, maybe 6. So I started, I think, with like a 40-pound dumbbell between my ankles, and then I worked up to a 70-pound dumbbell last week. But it hurts to squeeze a dumbbell, at least me, between my ankles, and then you're afraid of dropping it and hurting the floor and all that kind of stuff, and kept knocking my shoe almost off while I was doing pull-ups. So I was doing 70 for about 2 pull-ups, I think. I was aiming 3 to 5, but by the last few sets, I was getting too tired, and I was doing 5 sets, at max twice a week with other pull-up exercises, which I'll mention in a minute. But today I went to the other gym that I have a membership at, which is the rock climbing gym, and they had one of those belts that you can put on, and it has a chain, and you could put plates through the hole that you put like on the end of a barbell through this strap, so the weight hangs between your legs, and you could do a pull-up a little more comfortable to hold versus my ankles. And I did 3 sets with, 80 pounds today. 5 sets of 3 pull-ups with 80 pounds weighted. And then I also would take a band, or just a resistance band, and I would loop it over the pull-up bar, and then I would hold it. So if this, you could use a towel actually too. So I would loop this over a bar, if my finger's the bar, and then I would grab both pieces with this hand, and then I would do pull-ups. So this had some extra support, but this arm is doing most of the work. So it was like an assisted one-arm pull-up, and then I would switch sides, and I did 3 sets of 3. With that, depending on where you hold on the resistance band, it's easier because this hand will take more weight if this has the resistance band. The closer I am to the bar, it's easier. The further away I get, the less support this hand can give this arm. So obviously pull-ups are a lot of lats. So those back muscles, those wings, other muscles on your back as well get worked. But so I would do that. And then I would do a lot of weighted lat pull downs. So, where you're seated in a chair or whatever kind of bench area, and then you grab a bar and you pull it to your chest. Or some people like to lean back to hit it at a different angle. I would mix up the angle. And again, I was doing progressive overload. I would always stick to only a little bit heavier than I am. So I was doing like 180 pounds or so. And then a buddy of mine that I was training with is like, dude, you're stronger than that. Stop, holding yourself back. And then I was like, you know what? You're right, I am. And for the longest time, I was like, well, I don't need to get that strong because I want to do more skills. But the skills I want, like a one-arm pull-up, require more strength. So I had the wrong mentality about it. And then so I increased it to like 200 and something pounds. And I was doing, again, between, 3 to 5 reps in my rep range, about 5 sets. So I'd have a heavy pull day and a moderate pull day in my week because I do a push-pull leg split 6 days a week. And then 3 of those days are heavy and 3 of those days are moderate, or sometimes even calisthenics, depending on what I'm doing. So yesterday was my light leg day, but I ended up tumbling for 2.5 hours for my leg workout instead of light weightlifting for my legs. So I'm pretty flexible as long as I'm doing something towards that muscle group. So basically, to get back to what my plan is for working on these one-arm pull-ups, it's weighted pull-ups with both hands. It's single arm with the resistance band, assisted one-arm pull-ups. It's lat pull down. And then I would also take just one hand on the bar, or I'd get one of the handles that you can clip onto it. And then I would do one-arm lat pull downs, kind of at an angle too, so I can get an even deeper range of motion. As I talked about in a previous video, you get stronger through the range that you train. So if you only ever do a pull-up to here, that's the range you get strong in versus going all the way through that motion. And I felt like I could just get a little bit more if I'm at a 45 degree, bringing my elbow back. And then I would do both sides, 3 sets. Other exercises that I would do is the seated row, weighted row. So, where you're seated and the weight is in front of you and you pull it, either to chest or to stomach, depending on what kind of bar you're using. So I would do 3 to 5 sets, and sometimes I would even vary that with one-arm versions. And so taking enough rest between sets, though, was a big game changer as well, because you could be doing all these exercises, but let's say on the first set, you can do 150 pounds of the lat pull down for 5 reps. And then the next set, you only rested 30 seconds and you can only do 2 reps. I think it's more beneficial if you're trying to train your strength to take a longer rest interval between sets so you're more fully recovered to then be able to lift that heavy weight again versus not getting as many reps in and having to decrease the weight. Because the one-arm pull-up is basically like a 1-rep max to a degree, So if you argue that to do one pull-up, if I could only do one pull-up and let's say I weigh 170 pounds, I don't even know what I weigh right now, but something like that. I would need to do a one-arm pull-up, this side to be 1.5 times as strong, right? Because it's doing both sides work, but just on one side. So, what am I saying? 1.5 times, twice as strong, whatever. So I need to be able to support my whole body on one side from whatever I'm doing from both. I mean, I can do more than one pull-up, but if one pull-up was my 1-rep max, then this side would need to be able to be twice as strong, essentially, to get one pull-up on one side. So if this is 170 pounds, then this would need to be able to lift, twice that on some level. I mean, some muscles cross over and it's not an exact, 1-for-1, because I can still use my full core to isolate when I pull, but the side pulling for my lat and my arm is just one side. So if you look at it in that sense, that you need to train it as a 1-rep max, then the progressive overload kind of fits a little bit better, I feel, into the workout regimen or plan that you may make for yourself. So that's what I've been doing, and I've been getting a lot of great results, resting enough to make sure I have enough energy to keep hitting the same rep range with whatever weight. So today, like I was doing the weighted pull-ups, I said, from the belt with the weight hanging, and I did 5 sets, and I had the weight at 80 pounds. So I didn't go so quickly between sets that I couldn't do the 5 sets of 3, 3 repetitions each set. So if I was really struggling on that 3rd rep or just getting 2, then I knew I wasn't taking a long enough break. So for me, it was about 2 minutes between sets to rest. And that feels like you're wasting time, but you're really not, because rest is vitally important to make sure you have enough ATP in your muscles, energy basically, to perform the task. So try resting more between your sets if you're stuck at some strength plateau. And then, just program smart and effectively, enough rest between days of working that same muscle group. So if I do pull day today, I don't do pull day tomorrow. I would do it the next day, or potentially even another day afterwards to rest more. So I have more energy in those muscle groups for that task. Hope that makes sense. If you have questions, comment below. Please like and share and follow if you don't mind. I appreciate the support. Again, I'm just making these videos because I want to share some of my fitness knowledge with you guys. So yeah, that's really what it's about. So I hope this helps. Take care.